So ADA as of late has been on an uptrend, and this is following on from my previous update where I mentioned I was on the lookout for this correction move to the downside, mid above a WXY structure to be complete, and for ADA to have bottomed out at 82.69 cents. And I also talked about how I'm tracking two structures, with one of which being a bigger WXY structure to the upside, and the second structure being a 5-wave move, where it's possible that this here is the wave 1, and this could be the wave 2, a wave 3, 4, and 5 like so. So it's possible that we are now within this 5th wave, and this 5th wave has the potential to reach anywhere between its typical range, and that range sits between 90.86 cents to 93.54 cents. And so what we need is for this 5th wave to be mid above 5 waves. And so I will be on the lookout for this move to form the wave 1, and for this move to the downside to form the wave 2. And then we see a wave 3, 4, and 5 like so. So if I drop down to the 15-minute chart and check to see what's taken place within this recent corrective move to the downside, and it does look like we had a WXY structure that formed, where this is a W wave, this is X wave, and this is Y wave. And this W wave also looks to be made up of an internal WXY structure. And so what I do is check to see if this Y wave tapped into its typical range. So if I bring in the fib tool and bring this to 88.08 cents, and you can see that we ended up tapping into that typical range for the Y wave, which is anywhere between 1 to 1.226. And here we ended up reaching 86.82 cents to form the W wave. And shortly after, we then saw a recovery to form the X wave, where we ended up reaching 87.96 cents. And then we saw this further push to the downside to form the Y wave. And it was confirmed that we had a WXY structure in play once we breached past the wave W, or the wave X origin, at 86.82 cents on this move to the downside. And so what I do is check to see if this Y wave tapped into its typical range. So once again, if I bring in the fib tool and bring this to 87.96 cents, and the Y wave would typically reach anywhere between 1 to 1.226. And here you can see that we just about exceeded the 1.226 level, but we failed to retrace towards this level here, which tells me that we are not ultra bearish, and instead what we had was a corrective move to the downside. And what I do is also check to see if this structure is now complete. And so I'll break down the internal structure of the Y wave, which looks to be made up of a WXY structure. And so here we ended up reaching 87.8 cents. And again, the Y wave would typically reach anywhere between 1 to 1.226. And here you can see that we reached 86.19 cents, which is just below the 1.226 level, which is fine. And so yeah, it looks like we had this move to the downside that formed, and then we had this recovery to the upside, where we ended up reaching 87.47 cents. And since then, we have seen this move to the downside, where we have lost the 50 EMA. And so worst case scenario, what we could have forming right now is a bigger WXY structure to the downside. And so if we ended up topping off at 87.47 cents, then the next key target for ADA would be the 1 to 1.226 level. And that region sits between 85.14 cents to 85.58 cents. So if I just mark this target out like so, and then yeah, shortly after I will be looking out for that recovery to the upside. And so zooming out now, if we are within this 5th wave, then it's possible that this move to the upside formed the wave 1, and what we could have forming right now is the wave 2, and then we see the wave 3, 4, and 5 like so. So yeah, we need further confirmation that we have a 5-wave structure that's forming, or a WXY structure that's forming. And so the next key region for ADA, like I mentioned, would be this region here between 1.226 to 1.618 to form the 5th wave. If we exceed this region, then it's possible that what we are forming instead is a bigger WXY structure to the upside, where we could see even higher highs, and ADA could then even tap into the $1 mark. But of course, that's something that I'm going to be tracking in the days and weeks to come, and I'll be keeping you guys updated. So yeah, that's just my update on Cardano ADA. Hopefully you found this useful, and if you did, then feel free to hit the like button, and if you're new, feel free to subscribe. Take it easy, people. Peace.